Coming up on Network Africa. Student activists detained over ongoing Ugandan pipeline protests condemns France-backed project. South Sudan remembers Carter Center for tackling Guinea worm outbreak. Plus, Prime Minister of France, Francois Bayrou, visits Mayotte Island with aid plan weeks after Cyclone devastation. Hello and welcome to the program today, the last one for the year 2024. I'm Layo Olarinde. As Nigeria prepares to usher in the new year 2025, the celebration of the new year has already begun in some countries of the world, with different time zones marking the arrival of the year at different moments. The Republic of Kiribati, New Zealand and Australia are some of the countries that have entered into 2025 with much excitement and fanfare. However, it's a stark contrast in the eastern region of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's an atmosphere of sadness and uncertainty in the city of Goma especially, where conflict has been ravaging the region for several months. The crisis casts a dark shadow over the usual festivities, and hope for a better future seems to be fading. The central market of Goma, usually lively and colorful as the new year approaches, is sad. The stalls are almost empty and vendors say they are disappointed as customers are scarce. The fighting between the Congolese army and the M23 rebels has intensified in recent months, threatening the city of Goma and plunging its residents into fear. Well, in Africa, Mauritius and Seychelles will be the first to welcome the new year, while Cape Verde is the last on the continent to usher in 2025. In South Africa, citizens and residents are welcoming the new year with a price hike in fuel. They're bracing themselves for another fuel hike, which takes effect on New Year Day, January 1st, 2025. A weaker South African rand against the US dollar is one of the reasons for the latest fuel price increase. Spokesperson for the Department of Mineral Resources, Robert Marke, announced that petrol prices will rise by 12 to 19 cents per litre, while diesel will increase by 7.5 to 10.5 cents per litre. Petrol 93 octane will increase by 19 cents a litre, 95 octane by 12 cents, and diesel by 7.5 to 10.5 cents a litre. Meanwhile, authorities in South Africa say a suspect has been arrested in connection with a fire that broke out on Table Mountain. The fire, which ignited along the front face of the iconic mountain, was contained by South African National Parks, Sandparks Rangers and city law enforcement officers. Mayoral Committee member for Safety and Security, J.P. Smith, says Sandparks Rangers and the city's law enforcement officers worked together to apprehend the suspect. The Table Mountain, which overlooks the city of Cape Town, is known for its vast green vegetation and biodiversity, with fire posing a significant threat to its delicate ecosystem. It has a history of wildfires, often fueled by dry conditions, strong winds, and dense vegetation. Let's head to Uganda now, where a student activist who was detained in the capital Kampala following protests against the French-backed East African crude oil pipeline is urging the government in Uganda to listen to the people rather than arrest them. Maktoum Kajubi from Kiambogo University was one of the 21 reportedly arrested at a protest back in August. Mr. Kajubi, along with other activists and rights groups, are claiming lack of proper compensation for those living on the land needed for the pipeline. They also allege environmental damage and human rights violations. The 1,445-kilometer, $4 billion pipeline is set to carry 230,000 barrels of oil a day from the west of Uganda to a Tanzanian port. The French company Total holds the majority 65% stake, while Uganda and Tanzania holds 15% each. Total has previously said that the project adheres to all environmental laws and is rejecting accusations that it will displace tens of thousands and damage the ecosystem, and has said those affected will be properly compensated.
My first arrest was with our first protest. It was about the EU resolution. The EU had passed a resolution to stop the deadly eco project because of the effects that had already been reached to, like for example, human rights violation. So the EU passed a resolution saying no, the pipeline should first of all be halted and the government should first go and look into all that has happened before it goes on. For example, as activists, we have been arrested several times. For example, people who are supposed to be compensated, if they say that this pipeline or the oil is going to develop the people, why don't they start from the people where the oil is coming from? The people who are not yet compensated because they took their land. So I don't think that this oil is going to develop the country. For example, even the president himself says it is his oil. So how are we sure, we the Ugandans, that it is going to develop us? We protest because we want the pipeline to be stopped. We want the pipeline to be stopped because it is going to cause harm. It is not going to cause, but it has already caused harm to the environment, to the people, where it is passing already. So we are not just jokers, but we are saying no, it is not supposed to be drilled. We are saying not oil.
Joining us now to discuss more on this is Ugandan journalist Halima Atumani. Halima joins us from the capital, Kampala. Hello, Halima. Thank you for your time on the program.
Good evening, Lyle. Thank you for having me.
Well, what more can you tell us about this story, and especially what the Ugandan government is saying in reaction to, the protests by these protesters?
Lyle, if we just focused on this year alone, I think there's a report that indicates that about over 81 protesters or activists have been arrested since the month of May because they've been protesting against the crude oil pipeline. This $5 billion project affects, I think, over 10 districts in Uganda. And so many people are still crying. So many people think, there are things that government needs to put in place for work to actually proceed. Right at the moment, we know that there are civil works going on. Government is setting up things like storage facilities. They have been working on things like, pipe yards, main camps. I think sometime in September this year, government received more pipelines that they are setting up, and all this is going on. But hundreds of people have been affected. Hundreds of people are still complaining because of the manner in which the government has handled the project. The government on its part, of course, says they've followed the law. They have respected rights. They have protected the environment. But there's so many questions that are still being asked, and so there's still going to be, we're going to hear more noise. We're going to see more protests. We're going to see more people, for example, the number of times that I've been to the oil field districts, people are literally not in a good state, but I think we'll talk about that more later.
And do we know when the project, the building of this project is to take off?
Well, as we all know, oil was discovered officially, in Uganda in 2006. As far as the government program is concerned, they expect fast oil end of 2025. We are yet to see that happen, but at least the government has said they they cannot predict the future, but that is their timeline, and they believe with all the civil works that are happening, they believe that by at the end of 2025 there's going to be oil. But this oil project has faced a lot of hurdles, a lot of obstacles, especially the financing. So many big organizations had pulled out of financing this project, I think ever since the EU resolution because of these protests. But for now, all we know is that fast oil is expected in the end of 2025, which is a few minutes away from now getting into the new year.
Indeed, the new year is upon us. Well, Halima, let's talk about the people now. Have they, received any compensation at all? The company behind this says it will compensate. And what form of compensation are we looking at?
There have been different forms of compensation that government and these organizations, but I think for now they say government has provided. One of them has been land for land, right? Where if you owned land and then government took over your land because they say the pipeline is going past there, they'll find you another piece of land on a different location. There've also been those who have been given land for cash. So the government value has come. They value your land. They value whatever it is on it, be it buildings, be it crops or trees. That has been offered, and then there are those who've chosen, to resettle. So those are the three different types that government has provided. But of course, at the end of the day, one thing that I noticed during my field trips is I realized that for most people, those who were given land for land, I think for them it has been a bit fair. Life is proceeding. They can still farm. They can still, provide for their families. But most families that were given land for cash, that was where the problem is. I think the government, in a way, I think they overlooked the issue of financial literacy. So you find a man who's, his whole life, his whole family has depended on this land. And then you're giving him all this money and they have no idea what to do with the money. They cannot get land elsewhere. Some people have got much less than they were expecting. So and in most of these districts, once people know that you're among the affected people who've been affected by the oil pipeline, they're going to increase the land rates. Land rates have gone so high. So even people who were paid money, they cannot afford land elsewhere. So you get there and you find families are suffering. I think those who've resettled somehow have found ways of managing, but there's still so many issues and so many people are complaining. Even those who got the money are saying, oh, my life is worse off. And if you meet them, you actually realize their life is worse off. Those who've been resettled, let's say where government has gone ahead and built camps or built, like an estate. Remember, we come from a culture where someone owned, let's say, 10 acres, and then when they build their land, there's land, they build their houses, and then maybe their children also build some more houses around the same area, and they all live together. Now, they've been moved into a situation where you have to neighbor your someone else by maybe about just 50 meters or even less, and that has proved very difficult for many of these people to adopt. So there's quite a bit of challenges.
Thank you so much, Halima Atumani, the VOA's correspondent in Kampala, and a happy new year to you and your family.
Thank you, Layo. Happy New Year to you too.
Well, let's move to South Sudan. A village in the country is appreciating the Carter Center for its handling of guinea worm cases that broke out in the community. The Jaweng village thought they'd seen the end of guinea worm in 2014, but last year the remote settlement of about 500 people became the epicenter of South Sudan's latest outbreak, recorded 4 of the country's 6 cases. Nyingyong Agwek and her 13 and 7-year-old sons contracted the worm after drinking from a swamp while traveling outside their village in May 2021. She says having the worm pulled out is more painful than giving birth, but is grateful to the Carter Center for making the treatment a lot less painful than when she had the worm as a girl. In 2017, after years of no cases, the Carter Center stopped working in Awel County, and that's where the remote village of Jaweng is situated. Since the emergence of last year's cases, it returned with its staff and volunteers walking house to house, raising awareness about what guinea worm looks like, distributing water filters, and training people how to use them. The organization also started teachings on how the locals can search for Guinea worm in animals, as one of the 6 new cases was found in a dog.
We are trying, the Cadi Center and the South Sudan Guinea Women Education Program, we are trying very hard to make a campaign, make community awareness on how to report a Guinea worm disease and on how to contain the cases of Guinea worm and how to make awareness in the county and then also entire of the country.
French Prime Minister Francois Bayrou has visited the storm-swept island of Mayotte to unveil an aid initiative, Mayotte Standing, in response to the devastating impact of Cyclone Chido earlier this month. Well, it followed sharp criticism of the government's efforts for its island territory and personal criticism of both Bayrou and President Emmanuel Macron. During his visit, he toured the worst affected areas, including a desolation plant, a field hospital, and a secondary school that had reportedly been looted. He was accompanied by Education Minister and Overseas Territories Minister. The Prime Minister also announced 2.5 tons of aid supplies to bolster immediate recovery efforts. In a public address, Mr. Bayrou stressed France's dedication to supporting Mayotte, promising sustained efforts for rebuilding and enhancing the island's resilience to future disasters. The cyclone, which is the worst to hit the island in 90 years, claimed at least 39 lives and injured over 5,600 people, causing significant destruction to infrastructure, including schools and water systems, also leaving thousands of people in need of assistance. Welcome back to the program. We continue here in Nigeria. The wife of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, has announced Mrs. Glory Nwankwo from the Ekpe Division of Lagos State as winner of the Lagos edition of the Every Home a Garden competition. Mrs. Nwankwo, who emerged the winner out of 152 participants who made it to the grand finale, received 2.5 million naira cash prize. Mrs. Sanwo-Olu also announced the cash prize of 500,000 naira each for each of the 4 winners with the best gardens from the remaining 4 divisions of Lagos, and also pledged 100,000 naira to each of the 152 finalists.
In August 2024, the First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, launched a nationwide initiative called Every Home a Garden. The initiative is targeted at women who, as first-time farmers, engage in home gardening in order to promote food sufficiency in Nigeria. 5 months down the line, winners have emerged across the 36 states of the Federation, and the overall winner is from Borno State, who receives 20 million naira.
Winner of the Renewed Hope Initiative, #Every Home a Garden competition, is Mrs. Veronica Kidafa Mbaya from Borno State. Congratulations to our winner. Congratulations.
Here in Lagos, participants of the Home a Garden competition converge on the Lagos House Banquet Hall, Alausa, Ikeja, for the presentation of checks to the winners of the Renewed Hope Initiative towards a better life for families.
This remarkable program brought by our mommy, Mother of the Nation, and the First Lady of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Her Excellency, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON, has created a value change of food sufficient for majority of women in our society.
The State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Mr. Gbenga Omotosho, and his counterpart from the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Systems commend the federal government for coming up with such an initiative and encourage Lagos residents to imbibe the culture of farming for sustainable food production.
Many, if we didn't pay attention to agriculture, Today, they are paying attention. I do not know of any home now where people are not talking about how to plant something. Tomatoes, vegetables, a way to like that woman who came up just now has just spoken. So for us, in my own view, personally, it's not just about Naira and Kobo. It's not about who wins the competition. It's not about how many people participated. But it's about the kind of interest that this program has generated. So for me, it's just thank the First Lady of Nigeria for bringing about this program. And not just bringing about the program, but supporting it in a very passionate manner.
Pray for a more food secure Lagos, and we are hoping that by next year, which is just in a few days' time, this 2025, you will be part of those who will be supplying our food hubs and selling to our consumers. So be a part of that dream of Mr. Governor of making Lagos more food secure. And thank you for participating in this program. God bless you.
Wife of the governor of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, presents a check of 1 million naira to the overall winner in Lagos, while others from Ikorodu, Lagos Island, Badagry and Ikeja receive 500,000 naira each.
152 made the grand finale. And we will be giving the consolation prizes to the 152 at this grand finale, and they will be receiving 100,000 each. This is just a way of us showing appreciation to you all and encourage you to sustain the home gardening passion. Learn, unlearn, relearn. Please be the trainer, train the trainer, encourage more women out there.
Some of the winners say the initiative has helped reduce out-of-pocket expenses, particularly on foodstuff.
Home gardening is the way to go now. We can't be shouting there's hunger in the land. Meanwhile, we have opportunities all around us. You have to come on board. You have to do something. You have to get busy. Don't just wait for others to farm, to grow these crops for you to consume. You also have to come on board, do something in your own little corner, your own little way. Contribute to food security.
Most of the time I don't need to buy tomatoes. I just go into my garden and I pluck them. I go into my garden to pluck my okra, my ewedu, my spinach, my St. leaf instead, everything, and it's something that I intend to, take on.
The Lagos State government, under the office of the First Lady of Lagos State, has promised to sustain the Every Home a Garden competition in order to ensure food security in Lagos.
And finally, on the program, youths of Wamba local government area in Nasarawa State, northern Nigeria, under the Sinsimbaki Youth Unity Forum, are advocating for peace, unity and progress of the state through cultural displays. The youths believe that coming together during the Yuletide can enhance peace, unity and progress, not just in the state, but beyond. Our correspondent Halima Gayam reports.
Some of Nigeria's ethnic groups assemble with their drums in Sinsimbaki community of Wamba local government area of Nasarawa State for the 9th edition of the Sinsimbaki Cultural Carnival.
He's a man that has always made things happen.
The Yuletide provides the opportunity for the exhibition of the nation's diverse culture and tradition.
Also the former advisor to the government.
The idea is to advocate for peace, unity and progress.
The main central theme or the whole idea of this carnival is how we can unite ourselves and bring about unity and progress and development to our community and to our society at large.
Troops from Nasarawa State take the lead with special performances tagged Sounds of Unity. They whine, showcasing their culture as families and friends watch with excitement. Cultural diversity is also at play. There is is representation from the North, Central and Western zones. The Nupe dancers who hail from Niger State, to the Jarawa dancers from Plateau State,
Mungode. Up next. With so many tribes.
Jukun dancers from Taraba State, ethnic groups from other regions of the country who are aligned with the theme of the year add color to the procession. Igbo dancers, Yoruba troop,
From this great event.
persons living with disability also share in the joy. As the youth push for peace and development through this annual festival, they want their culture preserved for the coming generation.
We're doing this because over time we have observed, we have discovered that the walls of culture and traditions are falling. And as young people, we have decided to put this, to support this, to promote this, so that the walls of our culture and tradition will not be forgotten.
They are also optimistic of the power of such gatherings to incite economic benefits.
There's no doubt that what we've seen here, it has added value to the economic value of this town, because people have come here to patronize one or two items here, and that means people have been economically empowered in the community.
We believe coming together like this, we'll be learning from each other, and with time, our economy will boost our economy.
The joy of coming together in the spirit of the season to champion peace, unity and progress is evident as the youth consider exploring the economic benefit of the carnival for the betterment of the people. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
And that's it on the program for today and for the year 2024. It's been a pleasure serving you on Network Africa. I'm Layo Olarinde. Have a lovely 2025.